Welcome everyone to a very special away team report. We've had the wonderful pleasure of being invited as important reviewers of things like this.
Very important.
Very important people. We were very privileged to be invited to a Bridge Command. Stars, because you were in the area, you were a Londoner, you got invited to in the Vauxhall area. I was unfortunately busy and broke to go to London, so sadly I couldn't go. But yeah, you very kindly went for us to what
very was kindly. Yeah, I got to do this free thing.
Yeah, you got to do this free thing. So tell what was Bridge Command? What did you have to do? And what was the company? What did they do for you?
So this was not quite what I was expecting. So Bridge Command is basically it's obviously a Star Trek kind of inspired thing. And if you remember, Idle, we did our own Star Trek Bridge Crew streams a few while ago, where it was like the VR headsets. Yeah. We should do that again because it was very fun, and it was kind of similar to this in terms of like what you're doing in gameplay. But what I was not quite expecting was this is more of I was expecting a more straight kind of video game experience, as it were. But this is more sort of blending gaming with immersive theater.
Okay. So it's a physical thing you went to. You weren't strapping on sets. You were walking onto a bridge, as it were.
Yes. To give you I'll walk you straight through.
Okay, cool.
So I got off at Vauxhall tube station, and I was like, "Oh, where is this thing?" It's like, "We've got an hour." I was like, "Oh, it's literally right there. It's literally half a minute's walk from the tube station."
Yeah. So this was like their permanent place, not was it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So it's permanently set up there. It wasn't just for like a pop up. You know, some people do it with the VR sets, don't they? They pop up somewhere.
No, this was an installation. This looks like it's here to stay.
Awesome.
So. Me and my friend Mikey, who was available to come along with me, because they do recommend you bring at least another person with you. I think you can do groups of up to 4 is kind of the recommended thing for a group. So you walk in, and it's a relatively sort of like generic sci-fi, I would say, is kind of the styling. I would say it's not like obviously LCAR's theme because copyright infringement.
Yes, exactly.
It's not obviously Star Wars because it's a bit more sleek than that. They're going with more sort of just what if Enterprise but less Star Trek. Like a bit more Enterprise, more Starfield-y, I guess, but a little bit less obviously early NASA. Yeah. And so the very first thing you do is you sign in, you show your QR code tickets, which we were compensated for. We did not have to pay for them. So good. Full disclosure with the review, you had to make sure you tell people.
We did, yes. We were in fact invited and provided with free tickets to this invitational event. It's the first thing we've ever had with this, so we're very excited. And it is thematically appropriate. We have been offered some other stuff before, and it's like, why? No, this is nothing to do with our channel. I don't want to host an app. I don't want to host an app for a cooking program. Like, no, come on. But Bridge Command, yes.
Well, yes, absolutely. So we showed our tickets. We got buzzed in. And the very first thing they do is they recommend that you put on your jumpsuits. So you actually have like a kind of a costume that you get to wear.
Oh, wow.
And so to your right, they had like full like shells and shells and shells of various different sizes. I ended up having to go for a 3XL because they always recommend go one size above what your usual is. It was a bit of an awkward fit for me. Just like getting on the shoes.
So full boots.
They do have like changing. Well, they don't make you wear shoes, but it's just a case of like obviously putting on a full jumpsuit is awkward with shoes, so you have to take them off, put the thing on, and then put new shoes back on. So it's a bit awkward. That being said, those jumpsuits are actually a kind of cool design because you have like 2 zips that start up here and they go all the way down, and they go all the way down to the legs. So when I finished and I came out, and it's like, how do I get this freaking thing off? Which is just go all the way to the legs, and you throw them into basically a little laundry bucket, and you're done. Like taking it off way easier than putting it on, kind of unsurprisingly. And this is something that you'll appreciate, Idle, because we did do Fashion Trek. So like because you had the 2 zips here, you could kind of have one zip undone like that and expose something, kind of like how the Wrath of Khan uniforms have the flat.
Oh, so you could have a relaxing. Oh, I bet it's up
there. Yeah. And I was like, I kind of kept on doing it every now and then, just as a bit of like a fun little a nerd moment. Come on, like allow you to have a nerd moment. And then they handed us some dice. And those were literally just little D6s. And those were for free drinks. You get a free comp to drink because we were press. Yeah, I know, right? Can you believe?
Wow.
Yeah.
We should turn up now. Free drinks, hang on.
Oh, that changes the war game.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: I would actually recommend you go to this.
Okay.
I'm gonna get more into detail in it, but I actually had a really good time. Obviously, in my opinion, it's slightly biased because I got a free drink and I got to go for free. But that being said, given what they've charged for this, I actually think it's well worth it.
I'd like to say as well, like, just on the top of it, like, because this is our first like kind of paid review kind of thing, like we would give an honest review of it. If it was crap, you'd say it was crap.
If this was trash, I would be like, don't bother. Like,
I don't think we would do the review.
It's nice that I got for free.
Or maybe.
I would just be like, it was cool and all, but because no news is better than bad news, right? Yeah. And then basically the very first thing. So there was me and my friend Mikey, a few other individuals, and then there was one guy who came in who I think was meant to look like he was a member of the public or press.
Oh, right.
But it became very clear that he was one of the actors.
He was the plant.
He was the plant. But here's the thing is that, like, originally I was like, oh, that kind of sullies the experience. But as you get further onto the experience, I was like, no, it's actually a really good thing that he was there, which I'll get into. So first thing first, they give you like a in-universe. Everything is treated as, so if you're familiar with wrestling, it's all kayfabe. Yep. You all have to. You are aboard. You are in 2180. You have entered this place, and you are going to aboard the USS Havoc, which was our ship.
Okay.
And they give you a nice little sort of like pep talk and an introduction.
Was the sister ship USS Cyclops?
No, not quite. And there's no USS Vulcan. Yeah. But there is so. What I appreciated about this was the first thing you got this little ramp. By the way, I want to give them a shout out because pretty much all of this was wheelchair accessible. There were no steps involved. This was something that my friend Mikey noticed because, like, even on the bridge, there's no like things that are bolted down. It's all office chairs, so you can slide things in and out, or if someone in a wheelchair would be able to get in, which is very, very good. There was one little bit on the engineering deck where there's like a ladder, which I feel like might have gotten in the way potentially if you're a wheelchair user, but like I'm obviously not. I don't use a wheelchair, so I can't say just how much a lot of
people in the fandom do, and especially people who want that kind of experience. So that's good.
So we got the ramp, and then they've got this neat, like, circular room, which is basically designed to be. They call it like a digital teleportation pad. It's basically it's a transporter, and they use like a lot of like spinny, flashy lights, a lot of haptics to kind of create an impression that you're beaming to your ship. So you go onto the Havoc, and then the very first thing you get to is the mess, which is just their bar. I had to look at that menu. There was some stuff on there. I'll skip ahead to what we had at the end, but me and my friend Mikey's works in bartending stuff, so he recommended we go for the EMP, which was Blue Curaçao, lemonade, and Absolute vodka.
Okay.
And I tell you, that thing was smooth. That was nice. I don't usually imbibe alcohol.
You're not an alcohol drinker, are you? So, yeah.
I am not. I only drink on special occasions. This felt appropriate. But this was very smooth, and it was a very good buzz. It was well made, nice little bit of occasion to it. Service was great. And while you're just kind of milling around for a little bit in the mess, they have these screens up. And there's two different types. There's one where you can read about the law.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of law. Do you want to read about the Shanghai Pact? Do you want to read about the European Confederation? Do you want to read about like the pirates that are going to be probably attacking your ship? Do you want a detailed breakdown of the different ships that you'll be interacting with?
Is there an established law, or was this law entirely just for this experience? Is there like something out there, like a game or another tie-in?
As far as I'm aware, this is not based on any existing property. This is all original. So I'll get into this a little bit because there's a next step. Because you could read all these law screens, and then there was another one that was just tutorials. It was literally just this is how you operate the things. So you can either go fully, I want to immerse myself in the law. I can do tutorials, or you can do both. Split the difference. And we had about 5 or 10 minutes where we could just mill around and talk and kind of get more comfortable in our uniforms. And then the lead actor, Captain Redding, who is a very, very nice man with a wonderful mustache. I had to quickly shout out the mustache. I appreciate an actor who's willing to put a bit of visual flair into their character. And it was also just like a person, a woman who just like put on, who was in their the original sort of like room with us. She put on the jumpsuit and she had it like tied around her bottom, like the top half was tied around the thing.
Oh,
and then she just walked off and went off to the ship. And it's just like, she was not like part of the crew. She was not press.
Yeah.
She didn't interact with us at all. She was just there to be like ambient.
Oh,
person,
right. Oh, I see.
You know?
I thought like she just walked off with the jumpsuit. So, that's mine now. No, but right. She was just to be
the
generic
thing,
crewman. Oh, cool.
Yeah, just generic crewman who was in the mess. She got you. She came along with you. She was in the mess, and then she walked off, and we never saw. I didn't see her again. I was like, good touch. The moment I realized I never interacted with that woman again, I was like, okay, interesting. So yeah, then Captain Redding kind of like brings your attention, and then you go into the briefing room, and they've got these somewhat oddly arranged chairs, and you sit down and you watch a video that is basically your kind of in-law introduction to what this universe is. And the idea is that after a climate catastrophe on Earth, everyone went out into the stars, basically colonized the solar system. We've settled on Mars. We've discovered gravium, which is there,
yep.
in-universe phlebotinum that justifies why you have warp speed and all this kind of stuff.
The dilithium.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like your various MacGuffin. And it's sort of like a post-climate apocalypse world, but like a little bit of Star Trekian. And you basically get like an introduction from the president of the Confederation of Earth and stuff like that, and like you're part of the Confederated Navy is what you are as part of the ship. So full disclosure, we were part of the military mission. Like that was the mission that was offered to us, but they did make it clear that there were multiple mission types that you could do. They specifically mentioned that there was like one with intrigue and politics.
Okay.
And they specifically said that this is after the experience was finished and they broke character.
Okay.
That's for the more Picardian types was specifically what they said.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
This is not explicitly a Star Trek branded thing, but they know exactly who they're marketing this toward.
Okay.
And I really am kind of curious to see what an intrigue thing would play out with in this kind of environment. Because playing intrigue in a video game is one thing. You have limited experiences and like options to choose. Like you played Baldur's Gate, there's only so many options you can pick, and that's a game with a lot of choice. But being able to interact with a live actor in an intrigue situation, and having that would be a bit more interesting. So I would kind of want to go again and try that other mission type and see what that's like.
Wow.
Especially given like all those lore screens, there was a lot to take in there.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to know how much of that you're expected to internalize, how much that comes up in like the characterization, like because they have defined
in my
characters.
Head, I was like thinking because obviously comparing it to Bridge Crew, the VR title, the Star Trek Bridge Crew. Obviously you just got preset missions. Most of us avoid the asteroid belt, go over here, manage these systems. Now you're saying like actually, which I didn't know, was like there are live actors you're interacting and talking to on another side of a view screen. That's wild. Like that's.
Yeah, not just on a view screen, but also just people on the bridge with you who so like there was the captain, like Redding, and then there was this guy who I thought was originally a press person, but then it was like, oh no, he's a planted actor who's part of the thing to make the experience a bit more naturalistic. So after the briefing is done, you've had your video from the President of Earth basically explaining kind of like your whistle-stop tour of the lore. They pick a first officer who will become captain if the captain has to leave. Hint, hint. Yeah. And they did leave it open, but they gave a bit of time. But then Mr. Jack put his hand up and was up for it. And we then sort of moved on. And then you go onto the ship itself. After there's a bit of pomp and circumstance with like door panels where you had to put your door on.
Did you have a 20-minute shuttlecraft ride around the ship?
Not quite, unfortunately.
Tear in your eye.
I think they. I'm sure there's some like experience that they probably would be able to put that together for you if you asked.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll get into this, but like we got an interesting look at some of the nuts and bolts on this. So yeah, you go into the thing, and then there's a little shuttle that you can go onto if the ship is about to explode.
Oh.
Things did not escalate quite to that point.
Oh wow! So you got an evacuation procedure.
And then there was a little engineering deck, and there's like a little bit of physical, tangible gameplay here, where you have resonator crystals, which can be which decrystallize, but then can be recrystallized in the captain's ready room. And then you have like OCP units, which basically have to be physically replaced.
Yes, the system of the ODM coupler. Yeah,
and full on, right? And realistically speaking, it's just like a few little.
Right, I would have just walked in there, opened up, and just gone, "Who's shoddy job they've done in here? Let me just reroute.
I know, right? Yeah.
Look at those couplings. Who's put that together?
Who's been having a amalgam in here?
That's going to cost you."
It's like realistically speaking, this engineering deck was like a hallway with like a few bunks, like for decoration essentially. And then sort of like some cabinets that you can open up to replace the OCP things. These crystals, which I imagine probably have like a NFC chip in them to register whether they're active or not. And then there are the fuel cells, which basically are like big canisters. You put them in, you turn, and then they insert and they register that they're active. And you've got your reactor, of course. Nice. And the thing is, I'm explaining all this to you. This was not relevant to my gameplay experience, almost at all. This was only for the chief engineer, because then you go off of the engineering deck and you go onto the bridge. Which is
so was one of you the chief engineer then?
Yes. Yeah, so you go onto the bridge and then you start allocating positions, right? Because you've got obviously your captain's chair, you've got helm, and then you had science, which is for analysis and radar and stuff like that. Communications, that's important. Engineering, where you would literally be able to designate like areas to repair, and you have to keep an eye on like reactor power. Like engineering definitely seems like the one with the most, like probably the most gameplay in terms of physical stuff to do, because the guy on engineering was running back and forth pretty much like constantly, just like having to balance things off when things started heating up.
Yeah.
So that's, if you kind of want to get into the most gameplay, I would say either helm, weapons, or engineering is where you would want to go for. Like, obviously, you could probably make a bid for first officer as well if you feel confident enough. But there is a fair amount expected of that kind of like thing. So if you are not a socially outgoing person, I would not recommend going first officer. Maybe go for weapons, something like that. That's what we ended up doing. So yeah, me and my friend Mikey, we ended up going on the weapon stations on the right hand side, and they do a quick rundown of your gameplay. And for us, it was like, cool, you need to you wait for your target analysis from science. And then I had to feed information from my target analysis screen to my friend Mikey. It's like, cool, the enemy is going to have this shield frequency. That's how we reduce our damage that we're going to take. And here's your frequency for doing the most damage with your beam weapons, because he was on beams, which are infinite and obviously regulated by energy. And I was on missile command, essentially. And you have torpedoes, which are your standard kind of missiles. Mines, which is cool. They only launch from the back. HVLI, which is a high velocity round, which is fires directly ahead, kind of a cannon. Yeah. And nuclear weaponry.
Of course. Nova bombs. Why not?
Yes, Nova bombs. And they make a point of saying you have to get authorization from the captain to fire those things because they are big. Yeah, which is a fun little bit of... Yeah, I know, right?
Can you do mutiny? Can you just start a mutiny?
I think that would be hard to get that arranged with the actor, but I don't know. Maybe if in an intrigue mission, maybe there's a possibility for that. That'd be interesting. Because as I said, so as far as I'm aware, there's the one actor, and then there's the one who I'm assuming is an actor because of the way he was acting, very kind of like over the top-ish, but in a way that kind of got you into the experience. And I feel like I would have been more annoyed if I had not twigged that he was an actor, because he was hamming it up a little bit.
Okay.
But the fact that I knew he was an actor meant I was like, I can rely on this guy to give me cues, and like to help me out if I'm having trouble.
Someone steering the conversations, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Because it's one thing to have the captain who's like obviously an actor, but a guy who is like an intermediary between like the obvious actor and then you guys who are Joe Public. That's helpful. It helps like demystify it and make it a bit more approachable, and helps you to have social anxiety, which we all struggle with at times. So here's the cool thing. So I didn't really get to do all of the communication stuff, but that is direct interface with like a person on the other side of a screen. Like there is an actor who is on the view screen, and they transfer over onto the bridge screen, and then everyone can hear it. But only if they choose to transfer over. They were having conversations where I was hearing one end of it, and I was looking over, and I could see the the actress, and I couldn't hear her dialogue. And he had a headset on, and it was like, and then he transferred it over, and then you can hear him.
Oh my god!
So like, I imagine for communications officer, that's a bit of a fun bit, and they obviously have a keyboard, so they can actually do text typing as well. And I imagine there's someone on the other end who types back, which is kind of cool. and then we basically got underway, and our mission was to escort the UCS Tulip, which was a freighter, fully stocked with naval ordnance and resupply, fuel cells, etc., for the UCS Hood Battle Group, which is taking care of pirates out in the Great Beyond. So you kind of get your little tutorial fight with some pirates, and it was just like especially for weapons, there's a lot more gameplay involved. Like I imagine Helm, obviously, that there's a good degree of like maneuvering and positioning. And they start you off with it slow, because to start off with, you're kind of just focused on learning your station. You're very unsure of what you're doing. And it was only as we kind of got later on to it that, especially me and Mikey on weapons, felt a bit more confident, kind of calling out to other people for, I need a target analysis, please, on XYZ target. Our shield strength is like this. Can you give me a firing solution on the XYZ target? And you kind of get a bit more into it, and you become a bit more confident as the thing goes on. And then, obviously, at some point, the Tulip is like, it needs a bit of help getting faster off. So Captain Redding has to leave and go across, leaving you in with your first officer, who was in this instance played by who I'm certain is an actor, but probably could be a member of the public if you were so inclined, if you're a particularly confident person. And then it was just like, fully running the gamut of just it was just like a bridge crew thing, but a lot more tactile. Like it's all touchscreens, etc. But like I kind of wish that there was a bit more tactility to it in terms of like what we were doing, because like there's no like physical buttons to press really.
Was it like touchscreen?
Not on our apps. So. It was touchscreen for us, because I feel like that makes the most sense for weapons and stuff like that.
So did you have like just like a panel in front of you, like on angle, like a Star Trek console, or was it like several panels, or was it like screens?
So the way it was laid out was like captain's chair here, full bridge crew there, and then you got the helm there, and then 1, 2, 3 station, 1, 2, 3 station. Okay. Me and Mikey were on the right hand side. He was on beams, and then basically it's like panel here, which is direct interface for like firing weapons, and then up there you have long range radar. And you have target analysis, which you can switch between.
So how many people could they do? Like, because you said there was just the four of you on that particular sort of rotation. Was there sort of room for bigger groups?
I imagine there would be, because it was a case of I know there was 5 of us, including the 2 actors. So like, and then there was 1 seat that was unoccupied, which I had a bit of a play around with it, and it looked to be for some kind of like dock management.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure what that gameplay involves, but it looked interesting. But in the end, when me and Mikey got a bit more into it, I just ended up converting it into a long-range radar kind of screen so that he could like look at that.
Okay.
It was like
having a conversation, it as needed.
And it was kind of yes, exactly. And it was like, well, I would prefer to have this my main screen on a target analysis so I can constantly feed you information. And if I switch that to long-range radar, and then
so you could switch
that's naturalistically. Yeah, we just end up naturalistically having a conversation about what is your preferred gameplay here? How can I help you out here best? And it's like, that was a really, really fun experience. So here's the fun thing. Another actor comes on board from another ship. They dock. There's a little bit of break, pomp circumstance like that. And then you get like a crew choice of, do you want to hand over a spare crystal and a spare OCP, which will obviously make it a bit harder on the engineering officer, but then that ship can help you out in the fight. And then they offered you a tactical options of like, do you want to go and like lay mines here, or do you want one of the one of our AI shipmates to go out there and basically draw a fire and then go in on them? And we ended up going for the option of laying mines, and we were the bait, and then the other group would come in and help us out. So here's the thing: halfway through that, the entire experience kind of broke a little bit.
Oh.
All of the screens logged us out of the interfaces.
Oh.
But here's the thing. The instant it happened, they were just straight on it. There was like a team of like 3 or 4 people who just came in, and they were immediately just like fixing it and going at it. They had like earpieces in, and we were back underway in about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And they did their absolute best to make sure that like it didn't impede on our progress. They didn't even make us stand up and move. They were just like, so you got a little bit of a look at the back end. Like there's like a game master mode that they could access.
Okay.
And then there's, I imagine there's like a degree of like actual programming going on there as well.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I'm not sure how much direct control they've got. But it was interesting to kind of see the back end of it and see the fact that like, no, there is like actual stuff going on. This is not complete smoke and mirrors. There is gameplay here.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to fight a big cruiser style enemy called the Torment, because of course it was.
Yeah.
Like all the enemies had very, very appropriately stupid pirate names, but it was fun. Get you in the mood. And I ended up having to launch a nuke, which was really good fun. There was a nice bit of like pomp and circumstance.
Of course, you got the big gun. You got to fire.
Exactly, and like it could get the kill shot. Yeah. Which, guess what? That was really like nice for me as the weapons officer to get to do that.
Did you come up with a cool catchphrase? Did you have like "See you in hell"?
No.
Should have been like a big swell of music, and then just stops and be like "Sayonara, motherfucker" or something like that.
I mean, guess what? There's the capacity to do that.
Was there any kind of ambient noise in the background? Because everyone loves their like bridge hum.
No, not really. There was like mostly just like everyone talking to each other.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have maybe gussied it up a little bit more with a bit more music or maybe some like different lighting. They do have different lighting for if your shields are up or if you're under fire and stuff like that.
And they didn't have to change the bulb.
They didn't have to change the bulb. Here's the other cool thing. About halfway through the fight, also, my friend Mikey's station basically exploded. His console exploded.
As in rocks and sparks?
They literally... No, sparks in kind of like a very limited effect, but also smoke came out of it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, because obviously they're not going to set fire
and
to
it was...
are they? No.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was just kind of cool. I inhaled a bit of it because I was sitting right next to him, and it wasn't irritating. I am literally dealing with a chest infection right now, and it didn't irritate my lungs at all.
It's probably like
there was a smell of
liquid smoke kind of thing, isn't it? You know,
probably like something designed to be non-irritating.
Yeah.
But it was a nice bit of pomp and circumstance to show off that kind of level of interactivity. And the way that they're designed, I imagine every station can do that.
So was that as a result of like, because obviously I keep comparing this to Bridge Crew because that's my own analog. So obviously you are fighting a real ship and they are firing at targets on your system. Was that in response to something happening in space? They targeted your Mikey's torpedo systems, and that's why the console blew up, or was that part of like a scripted
I think so,
event?
yeah, because there was the capability to lock onto subsystems and target specific things.
Cool.
We didn't really get that much into the minutiae of it because it was just a case of live fire exercise, just like fire weapons and go. But I imagine on other types of missions, having to do subsystem targeting like that is maybe a bit more involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was cool to see that level of interactivity go on. So beat the bad guys, go home. We go back into the debriefing thing. Nice little bit of interaction with the actors. And then, the guy who I'm pretty sure was an actor, Jack, got a promotion to sub-lieutenant, and I also got a promotion.
Oh, well done. What were you before?
So I think we're just kind of like NCOs, as it were. Like you're not really like.
So for
and
Fleet
the
Admiral.
cool thing was. Not quite. I think I got promoted to sub-lieutenant was the thing. They literally have like the simple like rab stripes and patches on the thing, and they literally have like Velcro on the jumpsuits so they can take them off
and they can just put a new one on. Oh, that's nice.
Exactly, yeah. And the cool thing is if you register with them, which you can do either ahead of time through check-in or at the bar using like a tablet. Apparently, it tracks your progress.
Oh.
So if I were to come back, they would probably have details.
Oh, so they'd have your patch,
how I acted,
and your promotion,
and they would give me my patches. They would literally give me my in-universe patches, and I would probably have an entry on there as a registered person who has been to this experience before. I would have a degree of character progression.
That's cool.
Now, how in depth that is, I would have to go again to see. But the fact that that's a consideration makes me want to go again and see how that changes my experience. Especially now, knowing now what I do about how it works and what the experience. And obviously, I want to try the different mission types as well. So yeah, we did that, and it was like a nice little bit of huff and puff. And I got a free drink for that as well because like your promotion drinks, like a little bit of build up, the camaraderie of the thing. It's like promotion drinks, drinks all around type thing. So yeah, then we came back out to the bar, and then the actors kind of broke character and started talking to us, which is really really cool. But yeah, it was after that we came back in through the transporter pad, as it were. took off our uniforms, handed back our patches. You can buy merchandise if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
You can get like stripes for the different ships. I think you can actually buy a jumpsuit if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
If you get really into it and you want to come in wearing your own, I guess. But yeah, that was around about 2 hours in total.
Okay.
So we got there about 3 o'clock, left at around about 5:10ish. So we hung around the bar to talk with people for a little while after that. But yeah, that was kind of the clip notes of it. I had a really good time. Even with like the minor technical difficulties, I was honestly more just impressed at how quickly they got on it than I was annoyed at, oh, my immersion got broken. It's like, I know I'm playing around in like a fake simulator with fake things. I know that it's all games and things. I was just impressed that they were that on the ball. And obviously this is a relatively new experience. This has not been running for very long. But I was impressed with their response on that.
In terms of like, going from, obviously coming in, getting suited up, and like actually, you say you were there for like a couple of hours, like actually in the mission, how long do you think you were actually like at the point where, right, here's all the controls, you know what you're doing, and now you're in the mission, you're running through, you feel like, because that's kind of like the thing for me would be like, right, I just want to go to my station, I want to be doing my job role here and talk to everyone. How much like actual of game time do you think you actually had?
I would say there's around about half an hour of doing the briefing video, hanging around the mess hall for a little bit, getting introduced to your stations and being walked through, and then about an hour and a half of actual just full gameplay. Just full gameplay. You are playing. And the thing is that so obviously you can book for groups. And if you were to build up, say you, me, Cranky, and a few of the other guys have come down to London from the convention, or whatever.
Make time for that.
If we were to do this and then to do this multiple times, and you can basically tell people ahead of time, we all know the score. You could probably get more gameplay maybe out of it, because they know they don't have to tutorialize you as much. But even
you walk in with your own uniform, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, okay, fine." In you go.
Yeah, no, here's the nerd. Right?
Here's your shuttle.
Exactly. Exactly. But even then, it's like, so I did weapons, and it's like, I'm kind of curious to see what communications would be like. I would like to do engineering as well. Seeing what science would be like. I would want to do the other stations more than I would want to do just like, I want to get in and get as much gameplay as possible. I didn't feel like I was being shortchanged in terms of gameplay. It was a very fun, immersive experience what I was getting. Yeah.
So let's talk about the main thing. So how much does it cost to have this experience at the Bridge Command?
So let me have a look here. So I'm literally looking at the website now for October, and they mention good availability, selling fast or out, and it looks like they start from around about 40 quid. So if I wanted to book for tomorrow, let's go for the 24th of October. So you can actually book different ships as well.
Oh, wow.
We were on the USS Havoc.
So is that different sets?
I think so. Yeah, because like looking at the pictures, I did not go aboard the Takanami. So, yeah, the Havoc is a fast frigate with a powerful arsenal of weapons. The Havoc is smaller and lighter, it packs a huge punch, able to get in and out of sticky situations quickly. And then the Takanami, a powerful destroyer, the Takanami has a broader range of onboard facilities, including a medical bay, and can withstand a lot of punishment. She's suited to a wide variety of mission roles. So I would love to do a medical thing. That'd be awesome.
Interesting. Synthesizing like cures for a dying planet or something.
I would imagine so, yeah, because I did not see this set. Like, this looks like a very different set.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has a broader range, including a medical bay, maybe that's an additional set. Maybe there's other stuff. But yeah, the Havoc was the one I was on. So if I wanted to book for the Takanami, let's go for the Havoc for tomorrow evening, right? 50 quid. And it's per person.
Yep.
Like, obviously. So you can do military, exploration, diplomacy, or intrigue. And yeah, so it's about 50 quid each person. I am seeing prices of about 40 quid if you go later.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you go for 8:45, so they close at 10. So if you go right before close, pretty much, you can get ones for 40 quid.
Yeah.
And they mention here most missions last roughly 1 hour to 45 minutes. 1 hour 45 minutes rather.
Yeah.
And obviously that will vary. And they even mention that like you can choose what you're doing here. And I imagine that especially in a non-military mission, because like I wanted to take pictures, right? I did not have time to take pictures when I was on the military mission. It's like You are at your station.
I want to see you in the jumpsuit. Did you get one of you in the
jumpsuit?
jumpsuit at all?
I did get one of me in the jumpsuit. Don't worry.
That.
Yeah, that'll be. I'll make sure my friend Mikey sends me that picture so you can have that for the review. And it's like I am very curious to know just what the different pace and different feel of each mission is like. I want to go again and pay my own money, like especially if you split this cost for each person. Like if you went with a group of 4, like it's 200 quid. No, it's 50 quid a person. Yeah, I would be curious to know if like that the getting a free drink because you got a promotion thing is something that like is standard. Because if so, that'd be really, really cool and a fun incentive to do well.
Did they allow you to take your drink on the bridge, or did you have to finish it before you went on?
No,
I was going to say, is there a little cup holder there with your martini? Just like.
So, if you wanted to, you can actually get a drink and have it in a little thermos that is branded. You can take that on the bridge with you.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Which is fun. But when you're in the mess and you have it in a glass, you obviously, if it's in a glass, you can't take that on the bridge because that would be a tripping hazard and dangerous. But yeah, I'm very curious to know how they broke down that I was the one who should get promotion. Because like everyone else was doing their jobs. Helm was doing a great job. My friend Mikey was doing a great job. Like everyone was doing their stuff. And I imagine that Jack getting a promotion is like part of the storyline, as it were. But the fact that they picked me, I'm curious. Like, did I interact particularly well with the actor? Was I just very high accuracy on my shots? Was my reaction time good? Was I
some Lieutenant Stars never misses?
Exactly, right? And it's like that. The idea of potentially building up more of a rank, getting the incentive of a potentially free drink, and just
turn up after 5 years. Admiral on the bridge. Yes, I'm here. About your day, people.
I get my free drink. I want to make Rear Admiral by noon. And it's like I would be curious to know what the metrics are, and it's like especially because it's an incentive to throw yourself into the role, and it's like. The thing with these immersive experiences, I don't know if you've ever watched any of Jenny Nicholson's videos on this kind of experience. No. So she's done reviews on like the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser and like the Evermore Park, like immersive roleplay experiences that are a bit more high end than this in terms of like the price tag. Like the Galactic Star Cruiser was like thousands of pounds, etc. And it's like a lot of the time that she was running into this, there's a good amount of interaction. But you often don't get a ton of like incentive to do well. Like you're just kind of it's part of the because they can't really gauge. It's because the Galactic Star Cruiser, for example, which is recently closed down, it's a hotel as well, and there's different levels of interaction. Right? There's like people who are just there because it's a family thing and they want to go. And then there are the diehard Star Wars freaks who turn up with a character in mind and they're wearing Jedi robes, right? And it's like. They have to kind of accommodate for both levels of interaction and everything in between. Whereas here, you're here for 2 hours, essentially, give or take. You can assume you're some kind of Trek fan or some kind of sci-fi. If you're into The Expanse or Battlestar Galactica,
I was thinking about that, actually. It feels like a very sort of like a sitcom situation kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, if you get invested in it, that you can expect to get stuff out of it. Like, well, not in terms of like monetary or whatever, but just like you will get a better experience if you throw yourself into the role and play a character. You don't have to come in like with a backstory in mind or anything like that, but just have an open mind, be ready to respond to cues that they give you.
Just go to the actors
don't be
with
afraid.
Like 20-page thesis. This is my entire lore. I expect you to memorize it before you even talk to me.
How dare you? I think you can book private events.
I did see that in the mission. That does seem to have a bit more of a price tag on it. That seems to go up to about £500.
Yeah, private missions. How does that cost? 520 quid. I imagine you get, but like they're saying they're sold out on some of these. So like,
well, someone's paying. I did see they've got cadet missions as well for under 16, so that could be quite fun.
Yeah, like a load of kids that you're interested in getting, like a school trip would be fun. But yeah, like I would be very curious to go back and see just like, how much rank affects you and if like actors respond differently to you knowing that you've been there before, knowing that you did, that you performed well enough in your previous mission to get a promotion. Presumably they might lean more heavily onto you in role play. Like as someone who does a lot of tabletop role play, you kind of know how different levels of interaction you get out of people. Like, people like me who will just throw themselves into it, and then there are people you have to kind of tease into it and gently like pull into it because they've got anxiety and maybe this is the first time they ever do it. They feel silly, it's like, you don't have to put on a voice or anything, but just putting yourself out there can be difficult.
I was just reading on the website as well. It requires a minimum of 4, accommodate 9 to 14. So if you go with a big enough group, you could do up to 14. Maybe that's the other ship, but yeah, like you could do up to 14 people.
That might be the Takanami, yeah, because it's like even with so if you would have like 6 people on either side, the helm, like a captain or first officer rather, there were 2 seats back here, like that were fold down, which I imagine might be for like less active people who just want to watch or who just don't feel like capable of doing it. Because they do mention you should be interacting, but like there are ways to accommodate you. But yeah, like 9 people on that bridge would be a bit cramped. Yeah. I think that might be more for the Takanami than the Havoc. The Havoc feels like it's designed for a smaller...
Unless you just go as the yeoman.
Frigate, I think.
I am the yeoman.
You could do. Yeah, here's your coffee,
Here's your martini.
Because there was a ready room, which was mostly used for recharging the crystals, but I'm curious to know if that maybe plays more into the intrigue aspect of those missions. I'd be curious to know how that plays out.
If you want to check this out, the website is bridgecommand.space. On the website, and you can book. You do bookings there. They are booking now, although I think it was you went on sort of like a pre-opening.
I'm pretty sure
experience.
it was a press thing. Yeah,
this is London only. So if you are out of the country or out of the county, it's a bit of a travel. But I am tempted to look into that next year and say like, hey, maybe we should go and do this as well. Like I'm definitely keen.
Like it's the thing. If you guys are down for it, I'm down for it. I'm kind of tempted to go again just with my friend Mikey because he was way down for it as well. Yeah. He was like, you know what, I had a great time.
We can book a few of us and go, and then that could be good fun. I'm excited. I'm glad you had fun. Because we kind of got emailed out of the blue saying, "Do you want to do this experience?" I'm like, "Well, I can't, but I know a guy that lives in London, so hey, off you go." So,
hey, I should also go into so helm, weapons, radar, comms, navigation, damage control, power management, first officer, captain. Those are all the different roles you can take, and they do mention.
Oh, so you can take captain if you wanted to.
I imagine so. I don't want to play. Can I just watch? Best enjoyed by participating fully, but it's possible to make more of a back seat.
Yeah.
They do say that you should probably contact them ahead of time to make sure that you're capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically work out some kind of accommodation and make sure that you, because this is an immersive experience. You're saying I want to be immersed. I imagine you have to work out exactly your specific situation if you're going to do this.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Stars. I'm glad you had fun.
Thank me. Thank you. Like, I'm really, really glad I got to go. It's great fun.
That's our review. Have fun. Go check out Bridge Command. And if you can't go to Bridge Command and you want the similar experience, check out Bridge Crew. I think we're going to be playing that again soon. I need to fix my VR headset, but I think that has non-VR things as well. So
I think you can play it non-VR now. I think they did finally add that functionality after a little while.
There you go. So a similar experience, but I don't think anything beats. Oh, were you sitting or standing? That's important. Did you have seats?
I was sitting. Yeah, we were sitting for most of the thing. If your engineering officer was running back and forth a bit more because he had like more stuff to interact with.
Because on our Roddenberry experience bridge ratings, we rated every bridge we came across, like Enterprise Bridge, Klingon bridges, things like that. Where would you rate this bridge? How would you rate this bridge out of 10 in terms of sci-fi bridges?
I mean, in terms of visual flair, there's not like I mentioned. It's not particular. You can see the pictures in the promo here. Yeah. The Havoc is a little bit stripped down. It's very basic, but you knew where everything was. It felt like a bridge. Having an operational view screen, by the way, which is really cool because like it's not just showing you static images.
It'd be a full 3D render.
Character actors, full 3D render. Actually, like actual models will be showing on screen. And character actors will appear and be routed through by comms, which is also really cool. It was like that functionality made it really, really fun. There was like, I would say that the Havoc was most close to like the Defiant in terms of its like aesthetic and stripped down functionality. So I'd say I probably give it like a, in terms of like real world use, like it was like a 7 out of 10. I'd say like a not very pretty looking bridge, but extremely functional and extremely good to use.
No slopes, no steps. We're not keen on steps.
No steps. Awesome. Yeah, no, like there was like a minor little like bump that I think was just like so that the captain could be elevated a little bit more because obviously if you're the captain you want to do that. But like I mentioned, like this was wheelchair accessible. There were not a lot of steps involved into like I imagine obviously if you're a wheelchair user you can't be doing engineering as much, but I'm pretty sure even then those props were within sort of like arm height. So But yeah, no, like good bridge. I recommend. Well, go command that bridge. I'd say so. I think it's worth the effort.
And go command that time. Bridge. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this review, and hopefully I want to go and check this out, so we'll probably do this again. But yeah. All right.
You should.
Bye.